Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. In today's extremely long video, this is the longest video I've ever made on this channel, we're going to be setting up my Woodland Mills HM122 portable sawmill. Yeah, extremely long video, but if you watch this video from the start to the finish, you will get your sawmill set up and it'll be running good for you. Little pro tip, if you go down to the bottom settings on YouTube, you can change the speed of the video. 1.25 works nice, you know, a nice flow. You can hear me say and stutter a whole bunch less. So like I said, yeah, follow the video. If you have the sawmill, consider subscribing. I'm going to be putting out a ton of videos on the mill. And yeah, like I said, if you follow the instructions start to finish, you'll get your mill and you'll be milling a 6x6 pine like I do at the end, which it's really rewarding finally getting that first piece of wood through the mill. So hope you guys enjoy, and if you have any questions, obviously leave them below. And yeah, take care, enjoy the video. So what I'm doing is I just looked ahead. I see my sawmill head here. It ends about here. I checked it over there. What I think is going to happen is I undo my 13mm bolts here. Got a socket on one side and nut on the other. Take these out. You could use pliers like a normal person. Alright, so that's popping off. Now with the top off, I can go ahead and take some of this other stuff out. Holy God, this is all rotten. Oh my God, maggots! Oh, there's some roller stuff. Bunks, more goodies. Mice living in there. Nice. It should just come over. Saw blades pre-rusted. That's awesome. So that's the cutting head with the motor attached, laid over. Now I'm going to get ready to start pulling out all my track stuff, and we're going to take it into the garage because assembling the track components however listed, we should definitely get it on a nice flat surface. So I'm going to use the garage floor. So I'm going to just a quick recap. I got the box open. If I don't catch some sort of disease from all this mouse shit and piss, I'll be quite surprised. I'm leaving a lot of the big stuff that I know mounts up to the saw head out here. And I've got pretty much all the small hardware, everything I think I might need, some boxes. I don't know what's in it all, but we're gonna bring it in the garage and start laying it out on the floor. All right, so I went ahead, I've laid my track out. You know, this is a 10-foot track, I think, or maybe a bit longer. I haven't laid my bunks out yet. I'm just kind of getting stuff organized, you know. My wife would be super proud. I got the stuff that I think I need to get the track assembled kind of on the left side here. And then some of the smaller stuff, I'm not sure where that goes, but I'm on the next page basically, and I'm working on getting the bunk set up. So like I've got my two longer pieces butted up against each other. I found my plates, found my L brackets. Now I wish they had have put, labeled the boxes with what bolts they are, because we got a 30mm and a 25mm here. So just with the ruler I went out, you know, 3 centimeters. I found my longer ones, and then I found my slightly shorter ones. Okay, and they all use the same lock nut. It's got nylocks on it, nylocks nut. So it looks like those are the two sizes I'm going to need right now. And then I also got my track foot that I've got to assemble here. And I believe that's these big mothers that go through the feet. So let me kind of get this set up here and we'll have a look at it. I believe I got this set up the way I need to start bolting. So what I've got, I'm calling this back side, I'm calling that the back, because this is where my pole little bunks come out to catch the log, right? So that's my back. Basically, your two end pieces are the ones with no back pieces. So you got 3 in the middle and 1 on each end. You got your heavy duty L brackets laid out. You've got your plate. You got your plate underneath, and then you're gonna butt these all up together. They're kind of heavy with one hand, but and then what you got in the center is you got your pole bunk in the center, and it looks like you're gonna place the pole bunk right across the center beam. You guys can see that, but you'll catch those 2 holes. So there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts in the center one per side, and that's it's going to make that joint pretty strong, I think. So at the ends, the way I'm interpreting the drawings is, you know, you got your 4 bolts there, and you're supposed to have a little bit of a, you know, it's not perfectly square because it can't really be square because there's no holes. So I'm going to the outside set of holes. All right, going all the way around. That's kind of the way I'm reading it here. Hopefully you guys can see that. I don't know if you can. Yeah, right there. And I'm going to move on to the feet. Now at the ends, 5, I need to use my L brackets. So those got to go like that. So let me start bolting it up. We'll see what we got. Little status update. Pro tip, don't be like me and assemble 3/4 of it and then look at the photo and realize the bolts go down, the nuts are on the bottom. Which makes sense. All the gunk and stuff won't get on the threads. Somehow if the lock nuts wiggle loose, the bolt should stay in there. But yeah, so again, I think I already pointed it out, but the center piece is kind of the different one, right? These use the slightly longer bolts because you have the plate underneath, so a little bit extra millimeterage. You got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, another 6. And then these are all the 25 mils. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the outside hole. You got your L brackets here, which I think these are the stoppers for the wheels as they travel. I think they hit that and then it's over. So those are also 25s, pretty straightforward. I did notice I took a couple of these longer pieces for the saw head. Just put them underneath so I can get my hands under and do some tightening there. Everything is extremely loose, which is why it looks like a slippery snake. But now I'm going to go ahead and assemble the feet. Now the photos don't really show it, but I think doing my basic math, it's 3 nuts per bolt, and then there's a bolt head. So the bolt head sits underneath. The first nut tightens the foot to the bolt, and then you pinch the L bracket in there. And I think I'm going to kind of do it how they did and just leave a little bit at the top for my adjustments. So I'll go ahead and do that now, and we're inserting those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and another side. Should be pretty straightforward. All right, so always remember to press record on the camera. That's key. Don't spend 10 minutes talking to yourself. Well, I'm always talking to myself. But what I'm doing right now, I'm getting the feet going. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the bolts, I'm sliding them through the bolt heads on the bottom. I'm taking 2 nuts, I'm threading them on. I've got a 24 millimeter on the bottom. What I'm doing is taking my box end. If you had 2 24s, that would be ideal, but I'm just taking a crescent wrench here. Yeah. And I'm just tightening the base plate to the bolt. Yeah. And then what I'm doing is I think what I'm going to do anyways, haven't decided, if I'm going to run these all the way to the bottom and just count the rotations, or what I'm probably going to do is just, because these are nice big coarse threads, I'm just going to count the threads, like say if, you know, that's roughly what I'm looking for. I'll count those and I'll put them all the same, and then I'm going to slide them underneath, and I think that's going to get my initial level because I'm in the garage, assuming this floor is pretty level. Should get me a pretty good starting point for getting the cross members all leveled off. If everything's the same, it should be good. So that's what I'm going to do. We'll go ahead. I'll finish those off. I'll slide them underneath. I'll see how many threads I'm going to go with. And yeah, we'll go from there. So I've went ahead. I've put all my feet on. I noticed like this middle portion on each side of the track, you could put the feet on either side. I chose to put them inside and inside. I don't think it makes a difference. Maybe it's for wherever your blocks are, or however you're going to mount this to the ground. But anyway, so we're at the point of trying to square it up. So the instructions don't really, unless it comes later in life, but all it says is assemble 4 carriage stop ends. To assemble the track should measure 26 inches wide when measuring from outside face of the rails. I noticed there's, unless it comes later, but there's no bracket here to kind of square this up. So what I think I'm gonna do is start over here and go 26. I'm gonna hammer it, and then I'm gonna come over to this side. I'm gonna measure the 26, you know, and then I'll hammer these 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then I'll come over here and I'll put my level on it. Where'd my level go? Anyways, I'll get my small level and I'll go across here and just make sure this is, like I'll measure 26 and I'll just try to get these bummed up together. And then I'll keep going and I'll measure 26 over here and tighten these in. So if I go 26 here, wherever this lies, it shouldn't really matter, I would say, because this kind of floats in the middle. So let me try that and we'll see how she goes. All right, so I kind of was successful over there using the impact. But here, like the measurements, as soon as you hit it with the impact, you lose your square across the this split piece here. So I would recommend you use just a ratchet and just take your time. It sucks balls, but because as soon as you hit it with the impact, shit gets all crazy, and then you end up all like it looks straight, and then I put the level on it, it was out of level mega. So this looks not bad here, but I'm gonna have to. There we go. I'm gonna have to hit it with the just by hand, because the rattling really sets everything off. And I think that was a daddy's long leg. Woo. Man, this thing's filthy. So I'm getting there. It's 26 inches up to here. Make this transition piece nice and clean. It should be 26 inches there. And go back there, 26 inches. Yeah. So I think I've got the track leveled off. I'll just give you a couple more pointers here. So, you know, like I started over here, started making my way towards the middle, 26 inches. I tightened that side, kept this loose. Got my 26 inches here, tightened one bolt there, and then moved over here. The hardest part I found was getting this whole thing leveled off. It was really tricky. I've got it. Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, like I got it good there. I got it good here. I think that's kind of the important part, is getting it pretty straight across where the wheel's gonna jump that little gap, And then I came over here, 26. Just tighten everything nice and slow. Once I got one on each side, I went and hit it with the impact. Because like I was saying, if you just start rattling shit, stuff just gets all crazy. The feet start getting loose. So yeah, once I had the track 26 across, everything's tight on the top, I went down and I got the feet nice and flat. And then I just took a crescent wrench and I think a 26. Whatever that is. 24. Took a crescent wrench and a 24 and tightened the top bolt to the bottom bolt here, just securing it to the frame. And now everything seemed pretty tight, but you know, once I get out there, I think what I'm going to do is buy some 6x6 by 10 footers, just 2 of them, and put some asphalt millings down, tamp the snot out of them, put my 6x6, level it off, get this on it, and then you know, obviously I'll have to do some adjusting, but I think this is the track pretty much assembled. Moving on to the next phase now, which is I think the saw head. Oh, I gotta go get the log supports in, so let me throw those in quick. Yes, okay, I need your help, Mai. Come on over here, and you put your wrench on there, and then I'm gonna come over here with this one. We're supposed to be using 13s, okay? Yes. And there we go. So on this one, what I'm doing is picking a spot where, like, I'm going to put my saw head here and be cutting this way. So I've got my log clamp. Yeah, that's pretty good, Mai. We'll get her tightened up after. Yes, okay, you do that. And what I'm on right now is this, putting this log clamp in. So what I found is a box with these 3 log clamps. It came with 2 20mm bolts, just 2 of them, and 2 small lock nuts. It came in that box, and then that's what you're going to use to... you nailed it, girl. And we're just tightening them that way, and all that's going to do is allow me to... Oh, but I realize I should probably flip that. Yes, I should definitely flip that around. That's going to push into my log clamps there. So let me flip that around and we'll tighten those down. Well, I'm playing around with these log bunks, you know, supports at the back. You got, it ships with a long set and a short set. And I was looking at the short set. I mean, damn, like that's a pretty small log. So I think I'm going to go with my long ones. 2 long ones. So that one's going to catch the middle, we'll call it. You got a tall one. I think you put a tall one at the end. You won't need nothing in the middle there. But I guess you could put a short one. It won't hurt. You know, it says to lubricate the threads for the actual wing nuts that go that tighten onto it. So we'll go ahead and do that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it until I got to get outside and get the saw head. So I decided to bring the saw head into the garage and all the fixins. I think I'm actually going to assemble the entire unit in the garage, oil it up, gas it up, and run it in here a couple times, and then take it apart. So we're on the next step here. We've got the track complete, the bunks are in. I've got to take my 2 long posts here, slide them in, 16mm M6 bolt. 2 front posts. Slide those in. There's a bolt there. So you're reading along, but then we're going to go ahead and hook these. I guess those would be the feet that ride on the rails. Okay. So my lovely wife's here helping me out. Say hello, Jade. And she is the queen at building stuff. So this is going to fly right along. We went ahead and installed the 2 up and down like the post arms, I guess. Ours came in, like one came with the 1 bolt already installed, and then the other one has a hole. So we're a little confused. I can't find another tiny small bolt like that. It may be around here somewhere, but bunch of shit in there. The instructions say to install the small bolt, which mine was already done, but to me it makes sense. This is going to catch on that and stop it from going too far. And then I got to go ahead and knock these caps off here. So, like I said earlier, you want to take your measuring tape, going for 8 centimeters. They're looking for the M12 80mm. It actually came in a bag with just 4 of them, and it's the one that has mostly unthreaded shoulder on it. Just a little bit of threads at the top. You can get 4 lock nuts out of a bag that has 8. And then there's a bag, a bunch of washers, a bunch of flat washers. So grab those. Wheels down. Is that an easy way to put it? Wheels down, and then I forgot to mention what the instructions say. Put it 6 inches off the ground, because 6 inches is the perfect height to, here baby, you like lift it up and show them like.
Well, it actually needs to be a little bit more.
Oh, more?
Maybe you should probably put it to
Okay, so snug them up, it says, 17 millimeter for the, what'd you say, Jade? No, I'll take it. Yeah, 17 millimeter for those, it says snug, and it says push these legs all the way up to the sleeve. So I'm just taking those. Now, this side's giving me troubles, so, you know, like I've been saying, I left mine out in the field for 2 years and I got crap all up on the leg. So I put some lube on it and it's helping a little bit, but yeah, I have to play with it. So I'll have to give a little bit of a cleaning to those. Next step is to remove the small spacers. The small spacers on the inside, so take the whole thing apart, pull the small spacer out, and then when we put it back together, there's the bearing, a washer, sleeve, washer, nut. And I don't have the big, it's okay babe. I don't have the big wrenches. The biggest I have is a 25 millimeter. I think you need like a 27 or something. So I just got a vice grips with a larger croissant. And it just says to get them snug, and I can get my wheels still spinning, so even that's kind of tight. But I'm also hitting this, so I'm not sure where these come into play. Very odd. We'll see later in life. We went ahead and flipped the sawmill up, or the saw head. We got the saw on the very end of the 6x6s, and just with the 2 posts I was able to lift it up like no problem at all. And now it's resting on the feet that glide on the tracks. Alright, Jay just yelled at me, and just kidding. I tightened the big bolts a little too much. You can't even get these bad boys in there, not even close. So leave those, like I'd say before they even hit the Nylox nut, like before it starts tightening, stop, because like, holy God, that looks like I need a half an inch. Okay, here, take that, would you, babe? Okay, so yeah, leave those extremely loose. Hardly don't even tighten them. I wasn't realizing how much that metal flexed in. But yeah, then you get your 2 same bolts as, well, what are they, 80 millimeter?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 80 mils, another 2 of those with the washers. Bolt head and then washer base. Yeah. On the bottom there, and then it says to read the instructions and don't put one in there yet. Yeah, real quick again, do not tighten those big mothers hardly at all. I pretty much slide those in and then start tightening it. Also then the 80 millimeter bolts, a bolt through, bolts out, same as before, a washer and a nut. And you just put those in like very loose. And Jade's saying, hold off on putting this top one in here. We got more stuff to do. Okay, so if you've been doing this by yourself up to this point, it's pretty straightforward, but that part's tricky. So, you know, you take this big metal piece with the lifting eyes up, kind of match the angle of the dangle, slide her in there, and try and get these bolts. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 per side. You need a washer on the bolt head. Comes through, imagine you need another washer or just a lock nut, I'm not sure. But if you're gonna give your buddy some beer to help you out, this is the point where you're gonna need to call him. Standing at the back of the motor, I'll call it the right side. We gotta remove a bolt, or just loosen a bolt with an 18 on the head and a 19 on the nut side. And then we get this flange in there. And what were you saying, babe? This one's a 90 millimeter?
Yeah.
And then the one right next to it is a 90 millimeter bolt. And then, so when I loosen this, I imagine that little bit there is going to slide into there, and then I'll tighten it on. So that bolt's a bit longer, obviously, because it's got to make up that teeny bit of steel. So we went ahead, yeah, so washer at the head, washer at the lock nut as well. Now I just done these up just so they're touching. I'm not tightening nothing until they tell me to, pretty much. So that flange is on. We went on down. I tightened that one. I left this one loose as per Jade's direct orders. She said leave them loose. Something's gotta go on there, eh? Yeah. All right. Cool. Keep on trucking. Okay. Next up, we got the winch for raising and lowering the saw head. Calls for two 70 millimeter bolts. I found this bag with two assembled bolts with washers, and I'm pretty sure these are going to head straight into, call it the right side. Two smaller holes here. Okay, you'll notice a difference between those and the rest of them. They're the skinnier bolts. Yeah, so it's a little tricky to get in there, but two 13s, one on top, one on the bottom. That gets you nice and tight. Then we'll get to routing this winch cable. Routing this winch line to lift the sawmill. It's not that tricky. I don't have my handle assembled yet, but basically what I did is I unraveled it. It's kind of like a single aircraft cable comes out of here, and then it's pressed on. It makes two, one short, one long. So what I did is I tightened my winch on about 4 or 5 wraps, and then it goes around this one, and the picture shows the cable crimp. I don't know if you guys can see that, but so the short one, after you see your crimp, the short cable goes on call this one the front maybe, or the back, whatever you want to call it. The one closest to the cross member. It comes down and it should hit this, sorry babe, should hit this bolt right here, undo this nut, and we should be hooking it on there and then run that nut on. Might be tricky to get in there, but and then the long one, haven't got there yet, but it should come around, hit this one, come down, and hook onto this turnbuckle here. Let's see if I can get that done now. My mill didn't have the handle assembled, so we went ahead, assembled it ourselves. Pretty easy. It's a 19 millimeter there. Bolt that on nice and tight. This little thumb lock nut thing here, which locks the handle in a position so you can rotate it freely, and then you get it close and it pops in. Pretty straightforward. You just work it back so you're not grinding up your threads there. Hopefully you guys can see that. And there's a little lock nut here, 18 millimeter, just when you get a good spot. So your only thing touching this is that pin. You lock it in with that. And just do it up tight. Jade's going in with the claw. Did you use the claw? Hold on, keep it still.
I can't even push it out.
I got it, wait. It's the most... Oh. So yeah, this 17 millimeter nut here, Nylox, that holds the short cable on. If you have a really short socket, you might be able to get it in there with the wrench and a swivel. I wasn't able to, so what I got is a combo wrench, and I just got enough angle where I'm not cross-threading it, and I'm able to, I'm going to put it on just enough to kind of, so it won't jiggle off, you know. I'm not going to run it all the way on. Jade went ahead, she got the long side, and it looks like what, it's just it's a clip. Yeah, clip, you just put the clip through there, pretty straightforward. Now, I see that one's got an adjustment, this one doesn't. So, when we go and bring this up, I'm wondering, yeah, see I'm tight here. I got tightness here, tight here, but this one's slack, so we definitely got to go down and got to adjust this turnbuckle so that they're both equal. So when we're lifting the saw head, both sides are coming up at the same time. So we'll do that now. Sorry, babe. Repeat that.
It says the turnbuckle will be adjusted later when the saw head is leveled.
10-4. All right, bolting the lubrication tank on for 13 millimeter heads there. Straightforward. So we're at the point of putting the little drip hose in for the lubrication of the blade. And I'm sure you'll see it faster than I did, but there's a little 3 millimeter hex bolt on the back side of this, which allows that piece of copper to come all the way through. So Jade, shoot that through now. There you go, because yeah, before we couldn't get it. So then we just, I guess, put that thing on a little bit of an angle. But you want it down, I think. Yeah, down. Just like that? Okay, cool, we'll tighten it up. Next step is the tubing. So looks like both of them are the same size. I just went from that kind of like a little compression fitting. It's weird. You push the hose into that, and I think it's going to work. We'll get the water to her and see. It comes back to the vertical one, and then the other one goes from horizontal through the hole onto the bottom copper there. You know, we were just there. Mounting the scale bar rather. It's two 10 millimeter bolts at the bottom there. Bolt heads. I kept them kind of loose till I got up here, and we've got the threaded knob goes through the one piece and catches on the back side. I don't know if you can see that or not. But then I'm thinking it should go up and down. It should slide in here. So we'll see. So somehow during the assembly, I either misplaced my M10s or used them up somewhere else, or they didn't ship them to me, but I'd sooner blame myself for just missing them. But they're supposed to be 8, and I only had 2, I think. So I went out and I bought some 80 millimeter M8 style, same thickness, or M10, and I bolted this cross member on. I just went to a local hardware shop to get these. They're not galvanized, which sucks, but it'll be all right. I'm still missing 2, so I'll go back and get them, but I think for now this will be good. And I'll move on to the watt hour meter, and then I'll move on to the hour meter. Pretty straightforward on this one here. It's 7 millimeter for the little tiny nuts on the back. Just a Phillips. The handle portion, pretty straightforward down here. You just bolt through. You got your. These came in a separate bag. They're actually flange nuts. So the lock nuts with the big shoulder on them. Okay, so you can't miss those. They're in a bag by themselves. I kind of just did mine in this angle here. I'll wait and see once I start running it. Then I got to the handle. This is a tricky little bugger. Let me see here. It gets this jacked up with light. But yeah, so your handle's going to be on the outside. This, that's good, tightened up. But this is going to be upright. Now mine already came assembled. Like the instructions state to pull it all through the actuator and barrel clamps and screws. Mine was already done, so if yours isn't, sorry, but I don't know, mine's already done, so there ain't much to say there. Here's what it looks like. It's through. There's the shoulder, so that's got to get tightened on yet, but yeah, it just came up. Like I said, it sits here like this, and yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I gotta tighten this all up, like I said, but just pay attention to the washers. Like the top shorter bolt just gets a washer against the handle. It goes through, catches this little flange, okay, and then gets a washer for the lock nut, no big deal. The bigger bolt goes through, there's a washer. It goes, can't even see what I'm doing, can you? There we go. The bottom bolt goes through the handle. Then there's a washer between the handle and the like the push handle and the throttle handle. There's a washer, so you can get some movement. And then you shoot it through. It goes right to the flange. There's no washer there, but there's a washer between the throttle handle and this mounting plate. Okay, it's kind of tricky to get it in there, but you'll see. Instructions they're pretty clear. It's just more or less finicky getting it together. I just tighten them enough so it's kind of like that. Like I said, I may have to go and adjust this stuff once I start running it. But we're on to the band wheel door latches. In regards to the throttle cable, I jumped around a little bit, but like mine came pre-assembled pretty much. It said to wrap it around the lifting arm and all this stuff. All you got to remember to do now is, it's kind of tricky to get in here with the screwdrivers. Let's see if I can zoom in and bump this nice little bunch. But let's see, right there, there's a set screw. You see that? So that's holding the actual throttle cable, pins it to the throttle. So what you have to do is get all the slack out of there, okay? So, you know, you'll figure it out, but you're going to basically just take a little screwdriver, pull that Phillips towards you, open it, and then come over here, put this in the upright position, being all the way up like this, and you'll see you're pushing it in. Then come all the way over here, tighten it, pull it through tight, and then tighten it again, like tighten that Phillips down. Hopefully this makes sense. And then you're taking all the slack out, so when you do come in here and start pulling it, you got a nice tight setup. And then just remember to tighten all your bolts and stuff up here to make sure your cable isn't exposed. You'll see it in the instructions, but you want to make sure that you don't have any wires. Like when I first got it, though, I had this much steel wire showing, so when I loosened that, I sucked it all through, pulled everything towards it, and it worked out. I mean, we'll see when we fire it up, right? I mean, I may have to come in here. Like, I got all this slack I'm not too thrilled about, but we'll see. Well, I've been having a hell of a time with the latches on the bottom too. Originally, I was going to jack this thing up, roll it on its back, playing around with it. Got it on some 6x6s to see if I can get my friggin' hands under here. And then I realized I'll just take the two bolts off, take the doors right off, and then I should be able to gain access to the just underneath here to get at these little bastards. You know, get that on there and the other latch. All right, well, I feel like a complete idiot. You actually can you can actually open the doors. You just gotta kind of force it up because it's sitting right on the bottom there. So I didn't think I could open the doors. I didn't even try, but you just gotta force it a bit, and then she opens up. And then you can put the latch there, and then the latch there. You'll see in your instructions there's a block under there. Stupid. Okay, I think probably those little clamps are the worst part of this project so far. My God. I'm trying to get you in there. So, yeah, you know, it's pretty straightforward, but I would recommend you get the sawmill on something like this, like tilted back and up so you can actually get in there and see what the hell you're doing. Pain in the nuts. All right, on to the next bit. Last step before we raise her up is to just tighten the 4 bolts, the big mothers. These ones I came onto are pretty good. These ones, because earlier in the steps it told us to remove the spacers so you don't have as much space. So if you keep tightening that lock nut, you'll just suck that steel right in. So I just brought it to where the steel's kind of like just got a bit of tension on it, and I think that's going to be good enough. So I'm going to put this thing on the tripod. We're going to lift the sawmill up with the hoist. I'm going to wheel it across and lower it onto the track by myself. So it says 2 people, but I think I can handle it. All right, well, that worked not too bad. It was tricky because I measured. I got 26 inches in this area, but my left, call it the left wheel, it was like not catching properly. It was basically this whole wheel was on the track, so it was like quite a bit over. So what I did is I took a bit of weight and off of it, and then I loosened that big bolt like quite a bit. Now at this point, like it's like running free, and I've got quite a huge gap there. I've pulled the wheel onto the bunk here, so it's rolling. All 4 are rolling nice. I just don't know if I should tighten it all that much because I don't want to create any sort of binding on it. I think I'll give it another half turn, and then I'm going to work on getting the saw head level. So I can already tell I wheeled this thing up just a little bit, and I've got serious tightness on the left and super slack on the right. So I got to go up with the turnbuckle there. All right, wife's back to the rescue. Yeah, so we've got it running really smooth around the track. Did some lube right where it has that connection point. I can feel the smallest bit of something, but really not so bad. So in leveling the sawmill out, we measured off the bunk. I had just under an inch, like just a smidgen. So I basically kept this one where it was, and then I just kind of felt this one, and I just brought the tension up. I just got the tension the same. I got about an inch on each side, so I'm happy with that. And now we're on to the next bit. Tightening these bushings up, so the up and down wear bushings basically. I just loosened all 4 of these on the top one and the bottom one, and then I pushed these bushings in so everything's nice and snug, and tighten them back on. I did have to raise the sawmill up, the saw head up a bit, just to get the height so I could get those bolts. And all I'm doing is I already pushed this one in, but you see once. I'll show you better here. Once they're loose, you can see. You don't want a gap. I guess you want no gap. So I'm pushing all 4 in, tighten them back up. Okay, so I added the oil to the posts like it asks. It wants a silicone based. You don't want water like WD-40. It's not going to be good. You just keep it nice and lubed. It's asking for lube on the sawmill log holders there, the posts, so I already did that earlier. A lot of stuff that threads, this is all outdoor, get rained on, so lube everything. Spray the whole goddamn thing down if you want. I'm going to go ahead now, put the lube on the belt tensioner, and then I'm going to snug it up just a bit. It did say, obviously, leave the belt with no tension on it when not using it. So I'll do all that, and we'll add the oil and water, we need fuel, oil, and some water for the blade lubrication. Okay, little status update because I kind of quit filming there. Like I said, I leveled this track out in my garage on flat ground. Everything is measured out perfect. All the threads, everything's the same. We went over here, bought some more asphalt millings, laid them down, took the tractor with a load full in the front, kind of compacted it best we could. I got my 6x6s here. I leveled those off this way and then to each other. Pretty close. And now we're ready to start leveling the mill to the 6x6s. And I think going this way, it's probably not so bad.
In and just fucking get it, and then go, right?
Mm-hmm.
That ball's on, right?
Oh yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, so we started from this side here. We screwed all the feet in, 2 screws each, so they're nice and secure, and we're just kind of leveling it across as we go, leveling it this way, and we're getting there, forcing the middle up a little bit. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Mm-hmm. Okay, we've got her leveled. We started there, we went all the way back, loosened the top bolts on everything. We screwed the feet in, first of all, so we're not messing around. Loosened all the top bolts. We measured this way all the way, this way as we went. We started that way, we went this way, and now we're trying it. Smooth. Smooth. I'm going to put some fuel and oil in it. It calls for premium only, no exceptions, which sucks, but whatever. And also 1030 for my climate. If you're under 30 degrees Celsius, I think it wants 5 weight. But yeah, 1030. I just went to the corner store and got a quart. So I'm going to go ahead, add my oil. I think it called for 0.7, but it's in the books. Okay, we are burning daylight. Blade tension, that's pretty straightforward. You know, you just tighten that until the washer is flush. It's extremely tight from what I could tell. I actually backed it off a bit. And now I'm ready to tighten my belt tension because I had about a 1/2 inch of play and it's only calling for a 1/4 inch. So what you got to do, hopefully we can see this. At first it was kind of confusing, but then it made sense. You know, first you go in and you loosen A1 with a wrench on the back side. I won't be able to show you the back side because it's so dark out here. But basically A1's just below the main pulley here. It's a big mother. I think it was it's a 24 millimeter, okay? So 24 millimeter, and I just use a crescent wrench on the back, loosen that, then come up here with a smaller one. What was that? That was a 13 millimeter there for 2A. And then 2B is actually stuck. It's jammed in there. You can't even get a wrench on it, but it's seized in there. So when you loosen that, this whole unit gets loose. Whoa, holy shit. So that's what I need to do there. So now I'm going to tighten this up and get my belt tension. So last night got a bit crazy. I went ahead, I tightened my 2 bolts up fairly tight here. I got about a 1/4 inch of play in the drive belt. And then I moved on to kind of leveling out the track wheels and the other last measurements. And after about 2 vodkas, I just said, fuck it. My father-in-law decided just to fire her up. We added fuel and oil. I can't remember if I even recorded this portion, but I needed a long funnel to fill that up. No big deal. Got her up, you know, starting it's very easy. And there's no electric on or off switch. It's just basically fuel and a choke. So choke on, fuel on, and she fired up first pull. I let it idle. It says to idle for a minute. I let it idle for a while. All right, so as you can see, guys, it was late last night. I ended up tightening my 2 bolts for the drive belt tension. Make sure I got about a 1/4 inch on there. And I was going to go down and start, you know, messing around with some of the other measurements to get the blade perfectly squared up. It looked good, just eyeballing it. And after about 2 vodkas, my father-in-law and I had said, fuck it, we're going to fire her up. And we got a cant out of this one. It's a 7 by 6 inch. I think it's whatever that is, not quite 6 feet. Just to play around with it. It's cutting really good. So we're going to leave it there. I think that's, you know, the sawmill set up, it's running. That's pretty much what I wanted to accomplish with this video. I'm not comfortable enough showing someone how to really run one of these because I don't even know what I'm doing. So I'll be learning just like you. If you have one of these sawmills, definitely consider subscribing. I'm going to be putting out a ton of videos. I've got huge logs and more logs coming. I've got utility hydro poles that I'll be milling. Different stuff we're going to be doing. So we're trying to build up this homestead, probably similar to what you're up to. And definitely throw us a like and comment below, and we will catch you on the next one. Take care.